We'll just wait for 2 more minutes, then we can start the session.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks. Okay. Hope my screen is visible. Anybody can confirm? Are you able to see the Word document, work
Yes,
permit
yes,
system?
yes,
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. So in our last class, we have started this work permit system code of practice. So we have seen how it is developed and what are the various activities should be covered in this work permit. Then we have seen different types of permits, and also what are the activities will not cover by the work permits. And we are about to start, I think, general procedure for the work permit. Okay. Yeah. So basically, as I mentioned, there are different types of work permits. Each industry have their own practice. There is no mandatory that the permit should be like this or it should be look like, or the checklist should be common. It depends on the nature of operations and also the type of activity which you are performing. The format also differ. So when we talk about this work permit system code of practice, there is a general procedure for the work permit. So when I say general work permit, so the process of work permit involves others to specific procedures for issuance of the work permit, compliance of agreed conditions in the permit during work execution, and also closure when the job is completed. So basically, we should follow specific procedures. So how you are closing the permit, how you are execution of work. So it is in a agreed conditions. When I say agreed conditions, all the safety parameters which we have agreed by the ex agreed by the execution team and also issuing authority. Okay. And also the process involves different categories of people in connection with the work permit, such as issuer, acceptor or executor, area in charge, area operator or technician, gas tester, maintenance technician, or contract supervisors. Even this terminology also will differ based on company to company. So we'll see in following topics who is mean by the issuer, what is his responsibilities, and we'll see acceptor, we'll see area in charge and area operator, etc. Now we'll see the responsibilities. The issuer is responsible for and also controls the entire work permit process. So who is mean by issuer? Issuer, we'll see who is he. So when I say work permit, it is made of a triplicate. The first copy is with the acceptor or executors, which means who is performing the activity, acceptor or executors. In our case, sometimes it may be our own employees. In other case, it may be a third party. It is nothing but service providers or contractors or calibration people, etc. And the acceptor shall display his copy of the job location to make the area personnel aware of the job in progress and is readily available for audit. So what is the acceptor responsibility? The first copy of the permit he has to display in the work area. Basically, it is for the people to understand, okay, there is an activity is happening. In other purpose is readily available for the audit. This audit will be done by the safety people. And the issuer retain the second copy for control of work activities and also for the record purpose, and the third copy is for safety department. It is a triplicate. It means three copies: first copy with the acceptor, second copy with the issuer who is issuing the permit, and third copy it will be with the safety department. Next, and a request for the work permit comes from either the issuer or the acceptor. The issuer is normally a shift in charge. So basically, whoever in the shift in charge level, so they will be act as a issuer of the operation area, and the acceptor is the person who carries out the work and has responsibility for execution of the activity. Okay, so acceptor, as we seen, the acceptor may be sometimes our internal employee or sometimes our external person as well. Okay, so when I say issuer, he will be basically a shift in charge level of an area. Okay, then next, before filling up necessary details of the work permit, the issuer and acceptor jointly make a risk assessment of the job and agree on the following conditions. So before issuing, they both has to visit the site and they have to look for these conditions. Specific procedure to be adopted during the execution of the job. How you are performing an activity. For example, when I doing an hot work, so what is the specific procedure? I have to take out all the combustible materials nearby. I have to do a gas test in, if I'm working in flammable atmospheres, or I have to uh, uh, provide fire extinguishers. I should have fire blankets. I should able to arrange a firefighter who knows about firefighting. These kind of procedures. And preparation required before actual job is carried out. So preparation in the sense again same. So whatever I have said, they have to arrange. And special needs like personal protective equipment, etc. Personal means job specific PPs. Apart from that, in case of any additional requirement which is required, it has to be kept ready before starting of the job. If the work is to be continued beyond the specific hours and further continuation to the work or any renewal of the work next day is allowed based on the approval and also specific authorities and also type of the work. In case generally the work permits they perform on I mean in the general shifts, sometimes in case of any urgency or shutdowns they may extend beyond the hours as well. So for that we should have specific authorities approval before continuation of the work. Then the work can be stopped. So when we can stop an activity, so any a moment of the time, if the work permit conditions are not conducive, or if the work conditions deviate from the requirements of the work permit. So you should not stop on your own. In case of any deviations from the work permit or agreed conditions, then only you can stop the activity or stop the work. And plant authorities are required to train the employees in work permit procedure to take up the various roles as identified in the procedure. So plant authorities, in the sense, the company or the organization has to conduct a training program for all the issuers, so that they know what kind of roles and responsibilities they have to perform during the work permit activity. Now we'll see details of the permit. So when I say cold work permit, a cold work permit is an activity which is not likely to produce specific heat capable of igniting a flammable gases. So the simple, when I say cold permit, so you have to define your activities internally. Okay, in my company I do so many activities. So any activity which is not going to produce any significant or sufficient heat capable of igniting any flammable gases, then those things will be fall under cold work permit. For example, even you are trimming your lawn area using any electric machine, so that also can create a spark because of you're using electric energy, a motor is involved. It get, if you're using for continuously, it can able to create a spark if you're any flammable mixture it is close by. So that is also a condition. Okay, we have to see in such a level. Here they've given some of the examples as well. So erection, removal of scaffolding, insulation of equipments or pipes, painting activity, and even pressure spray painting required a hot permit, because there again, because of the friction, there is a chance of between the gun and also the spray which is coming out of the gun, there is a chance of static electricity generation, which can leads to a spark. Routine instrument repair or troubleshooting do not involve process isolation or work on process trips. So when you are not involved this process isolations or process trips, then it is fine. Otherwise, you have to have a other permit. Equipment greasing and lubrication, conditions moving of rotatory equipment, and tests to be carried out by the maintenance person on any other external agency other than the operational personnel. These are the some of the conditions which will fall under a cold work. Even work equipment like DCS panels or UPS inverters, and excavation, digging, road cutting, removing soil, chipping, and also grading to be depth less than 30 meters deep, either using mechanical equipment or manually. This also fall under, if 30 meters, if you're going more than 30 meters, then it will fall under excavation. Otherwise, you can choose cold work permit. Again, there is a condition, sir. In maybe in my company, within 30 meter itself, there is a chance of any electrical cables. Even you can choose excavation permit also. That is an additional a precaution from your company side. The standard will look for the overall condition, or they will give the general this thing, because it may not suitable for your kind of operations. That's why you can choose based on your activity and also based on your nature of work. The work at height, any work which is above 1.8 meters above ground level, where the permanent platform and also guardrails are not provided, even hydrojetting, online sealing, etc., etc. These all will be covered under general permit. When I say hot work, again it is ulta, comparing with cold work. Hot work is any type of work which produces heat and also spark capable of igniting any flammable or combustible material. All those activities. So that is why in your work permit procedure you have to define. So what are the activities fall under a general work permit? What are the activities fall under hard work permit? So that it will be easy for the acceptor or issuer while issuing a permit. So as we know, some of the examples: welding, grinding, burning, soldering, brazing, blasting, gas cutting, chipping, etc., will fall under this hard work permit. Okay. Anyhow, I'll give this document. You can go through the each of these thing. Otherwise, we can't able to complete because it is 64 document page document. The next is confined space or vessel entry. So basically, confined space means it is defined as an area which is not designed for a continuous human occupancy. And next condition is it is a large enough for a person to bodily enter into the area and perform the assigned work, and it has got a limited or restricted means of for entry and exit, and may or may not be enclosed. Sometimes it may not be enclosed, or sometimes it may not be. Shall be followed following conditions. So when I say confined space, the space which is not designed for continuous occupancy, and also it is mostly large enough one person can enter, not multiple people can enter at a time. Hardly one person can enter, and it has limited or restricted means of entry and exit. So it is not so easy to go in and go come out. There are some limitations. Okay, that is called a confined space. So when I say confined space, it is subjected to a potential hazards, or namely accumulation of toxic and flammable vapors, inert gases, oxygen deficiency, flooding of liquids, steam, or any other hazardous substances, and development of hazardous conditions. When I say development of hazardous conditions, during a performance of an activity, for example, I am doing a welding uh, within the in a confined space. What will happen while doing welding? There is a chance of the fumes which will generate. If the welding is so high, if you are not provided any exhaust to take out the fumes which is generated from the welding, what will happen? Because of the density of the fumes, so oxygen will automatically thrown out. Because of deficiency of oxygen, you will be feel fatigue over a period of time. It leads to a fatal case as well. Okay. Development of conditions based on activity, the hazardous situations are created. When we say some of the examples of confined spaces, as we know, tanks, columns, reactors, even severe pits, coilers, etc., etc. Okay. Then next one is excavation. For carrying out of excavation, a ground or soil below 30 meters, and also a separate permit, that is excavation permit, shall be issued. So if you are going more than 30 centimeters, so you should write an excavation work permit. Then electrical work. For carrying out electrical work, a positive isolation of electrical energy or any power driven equipment is an essential, and separate permit for electrical work permit also shall be issued. If you are working on any isolation systems or any electrical drivers or any main motors, in such case you have to write an electrical. Then next one is work at height. So as we know, whenever the people are performing an activity, shall be issued for the jobs involving work at greater than 1.8 meters. A separate permit, that is a work at height permit, shall be issued for the working at height. So we'll see these annexures in the last, so that you will get an idea. Then radiography, it is not so common for industries. Maybe few industries they do this, especially during the shutdowns. They do this radiography on weldings, weld joints, etc., to check the quality of the welding. The radiography on pipelines or equipments, isolation, restoration, radioactive sources is essential. Again, there also you need to have a separate permit. Now we'll see the procedure of the work permit format. So basically, a work permit format contains several sections. So it will have a number of sections. If you are already seen the permit, maybe it is a repetition for you. So when I say a permit, it is a checklist for the issuer and the acceptor to identify different hazards associated with the work permit and what precautions and procedures need to be followed in carrying out the job in a safer manner. Basically, it is a checklist. I think I'll show you one permit so that you will get an idea. So how it will look like as a checklist. Just a second, please. Yeah, we'll see annexure C, which is confined space or vessel entry permit. How it would look like. So basically, it will have serial number of the permit. Okay, then associated work permits. So along with this, any other permits? I think it is infinity or think something is different here. Maybe some spelling mistake. We'll see any other one, other copy. Okay, yeah, we'll cover this then. So hard work. So annexure B, which is hard work. So it will have the serial number of the permit, work clearance from hours of date to hours of date. So today, for example, 8th March. So morning 10 p.m. or 10 a.m. to date 3rd, and next day, I mean same day evening 6 p.m. we'll get again 8th. I'll just simply put 8th March. Sorry, not here. Here I have to put 10 a.m. of date. Here I'll get 8th March, then to evening 6 p.m. Then here I'll get again 8th March. In the sense, in the 8th March, morning 10 a.m. to evening 6 p.m., I have issued a permit and issued department, section, or contractor. So why it is department, section, or contractor? Department, section, sometimes it is for internal. When I say contractor, it is a third party. Here you will mention a contractor name, a contractor ABC, then exact location of the work area, unit, equipment number, etc. Exact location, I can say production, then any specific equipment or any, I can say, reactor, then equipment number I'll say RC1. So this is how you will detail, so that there is no confusion where you are doing an activity. Sometimes RC1 is my reactor number. Then you will put permit type. It is a normal activity or any shutdown or any blanket. How, what are the type of activity? Then nearest fire alarm point, description of the work, then name of the permittee, signature, and a date. Okay, then you will have the items or specific table one shall be checked before issuing the a permit. This is we are calling as checklist. So before issuing of the permit, the issuer has to check all these conditions. Equipment working area inspected. So when you say done, you will put a tick mark. If it is not required, you will tick mark here. Surrounding areas checked and cleaned and covered. Then severe manholes, etc., and hot surfaces nearby covered. Consider the hazards from the other operations and the concerned persons alerted. Then equipment blinded, disconnected, closed, isolated, or which opened. So out of these four activities, which you have done? You done disconnection, you have done close, or you have done isolation. You click on specific thing and you will say yes or no. Then equipment properly drained and depressurized. If you are working on hard work on any pipeline. Okay. The next is equipment water flushed. So in case of you're working on any flammable chemicals or any volatile materials, so you have to flush out the tank. This is how the checkpoints will be. Then based on that, you will do an inspection. Okay, it is a big list. Let us not go through because it will take too much time. See, this is an other checklist. The residual hazards. What kind of hazards will be there? Lack of oxygen, combustible materials, toxic gases, steam condensate, pyrophoric iron, corrosive chemicals, or others, etc. In the remarks, you can mention any other uh, hazards which are present apart from that. Then here it is additional PPs are specified in table 6 shall be used in addition to the standards PP. In case of any special PPs are required apart from the general PPs, you can mention here. Exactly, if facial is required, you'll say tick, or Google is required, then dust respirator, whatever the additional PP is required. If you say tick mark there, so that they have to provide that. Then additional precautions, if any. So apart from this, you can the issuer can write, okay, these are not sufficient. He can comment on a few more additional precautions so that they can implement. So here we have the details of the permits. I mean issuers receipts. So who is the one person receipt, signature, designation, name, date, and also his phone number. Then permit fire permit signatory. So fire permit signatory in the sense fire officer, uh, gas safety inspector, and also permittee or receiver. Here permittee or receiver is nothing but acceptor or executor. So here fire permit signatory means a fire department. If you have such practice, if you have dedicated fire department in your organization, you can do this. Otherwise, you can take the issuer signature itself. Then following that, these are the general instructions for the hard work permit. So what are the do's and don'ts? It has to be trained by the safety department for the all the contractors as well as all the permit issuers and acceptors. So end of this, you will have signature of the receiver, signature of the issuer, saying that we have understood all these conditions. Here you have don'ts, and here you have do's, etc. The same way, we'll have checklist and also general conditions for all types of permits. You can use this template, even you can modify, because every workplace is not same, every
Sir,
organization manufacturing process is not same. Sorry.
sir, here Lotto is not used, sir, if required.
Lotto, it will cover in general permit. I'll show you that as well.
If you somebody take hot work, there may be
Mhm.
chances of Lotto, any process isolation or blinding,
Definitely it
positive
is required.
isolation.
Definitely required. It is covered in, if I am not wrong, it is covered in the general permit. How it is linking is, you have to take a cold work permit, then you have to take an associated work permit. I'll show you that. So for example, when I say hard work, uh, associated work permits, you have to, just a second, definitely it will be there. Isolation, without isolation we can't do anything.
Yes. Okay, sir. No issue. Please
Yeah,
carry.
here you see, when I say associated permits, there it will cover confined space, they have covered associated permit in it, within the confined space, what kind of activity you are doing. So along with the hard work permit, if you are doing any isolation, definitely you have to write the hard work permit number as well. This is how they will represent here, the linkage of the permits.
And any job safety plan?
Job safety plan, that is what they are talking about, the joint inspections based on the checklist.
Uh, Job
Sometimes,
specific work, whatever, either cold
yeah,
work, hot
sometimes
work,
we may
anything.
call it as job safety analysis, or sometimes we may call it as method statements. Sometimes we call it as HIRA as well. So again, it is up to the organization. The standard is telling that before issuing a permit, the issuer and the receiver or acceptor or executor, they have to do a joint inspection based on the checklist which they have defined here. So there itself, they will come up with an idea. So they even see positive isolation. Some of you asked whether isolation is required or not required. It is done. If it is already done, we say done. It is required, then we'll say required. Then after that, they will put a tick on done. Apart from this, you can implement whatever the checkpoints you want. Even you see gas testing, flammable oxygen levels, everything will be covered. Because it is a standard procedure, it will not able to cover all the processes or activities or etc. So it will given a high level standard of how, like we have ISO standards. So the ISO standard can be implemented for a basic kirana store. The same procedure we can apply for a complex chemical process as well. So that is how we have to understand this document.
Okay, okay, sir.
It give a, yeah, it given a guidelines. So according to the guidelines, we can develop our own checklist as well. It does not mean that okay, you have to follow only these checkpoints. You can go with your own checkpoint also. In addition to this, maybe some of the checkpoints which they have given in this, it is not suitable, you can replace with uh, your own checkpoints. So as I mentioned, they will do checklist by the issuer and the acceptor to identify the hazards and precautions. Then if you say go through the job particulars, so as we seen, what is the type of unit and plant or non-process area or facility where you are doing, then area or section, which part of the facility belongs to the plant or unit. Area or section means exactly where you are working. And also the work permit to be issued to the a person or agency who are interested to carry out the work. So these are the some of the details you will see. It is mean by the contractor or sometimes our internal departments or other sections. Then we'll give mention the date and time. Then we have following procedures. No permit shall be issued directly to the contractors. A work permit must bear the person or employee's name and designation which with his department or discipline. No permit should be issued directly to the contractors. We can't directly give a permit to the a contractor. So a contractor will perform a job under our company employees. So he under or through him, a contractor should get a permit. Then only it is valid. Okay. Here we have less than a minute, so I'm stopping here. So we can continue in the second section.